This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Straczynski. On today's show, a ton of WWE wrestlers are banged up. Got the lowdown on what's going on with their injuries. Going to take a look at what's taking place with the Vision. Seems as though they've lost two leaders. Does it feel like it's a bit of a rudderless ship now with Paul Heyman at the head of it? Also, what's in the box, man? What's in the box? And we'll take a look at AEW as Hangman Page goes full Cody Rhodes. Help me break it all down, sort it all out. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Is the Doc the masked man? Maybe he's a little bit taller. I don't know. They got a scoop, but it's going to be interesting to see all these reveals. Does WWE actually pay off some of these reveals? It's going to be interesting. We are back after a week away. I do like a little bit of a time away to kind of reflect a little bit. It gives you a chance to kind of see the product from a different perspective. When you're not planning a show, you get a chance to say, okay, where are the directions heading? And because we have to say it, AEW is doing just a little bit better incrementally to try and get some of the audience from WWE, because of the fact that, unfortunately, the buzz surrounding WrestleMania hasn't been good. I don't believe in slow cooks. I believe that, and we're going to get into it. I just believe, because real fast, all you have to do is say, we're going to have these people fight, and then build a story, like tell us who's going to fight and then build the reason why. Unfortunately, we don't know. We kind of think we know, but unfortunately, if you're trying to sell tickets, it's kind of like, it's February and your Elimination Chamber is around the corner, but I'm not feeling WrestleMania all that much anymore. It's like, yeah, you had everybody in the palm of your hands with Punk and Roman, but now Roman's gone again. So
Yep.
It's like, okay, here we are. We're on the road to WrestleMania, but it feels like we're at the cheap gas station there trying to figure out what's the next step to get to the next town. It's like, okay, it's not. I'm not thrilled.
And here's the thing. Roman's not going to be here until sometime in March. So you're going to have a couple of weeks without Roman. And like you said, we're supposed to be on the road to WrestleMania, where ticket sales are not good. And they're asking you to pay a fortune. Like, if you've looked at ticket sales, like ticket prices are through the roof. Like, they went up almost 300% from last year. Like, they're in the same venue, basically offering you the same product, and they're like, we're going to charge you 3 times more. So if you're going to pay a couple of $1,000s to go watch a wrestling event, you generally want to know what's on the card. And at this moment in time, you don't really have an idea. So to your point, they're trying to put all this stuff together, and they're trying to make this work, and they're expecting you to spend $3,000 on a ticket, and you're like, well, what am I paying for? I don't even know what the heck I'm paying for. So I think when you compare it to AEW is doing a fantastic job building different stories and having multiple storylines going on at once with a lot of the high end of their roster. They've got such a stacked top of their roster. It's unreal. WWE at this moment in time feels a little bit like it's lost in the sauce, and it hasn't really put it together. I think a perfect example is the Vision. For a long time, they were a very integral part of what we were seeing on Monday Night Raw. They were a very important storyline. And in the last couple of weeks, it appears that they've lost two leaders. It appears as though they are a little bit lost in the sauce. At this moment in time, does it feel like the Vision is a group of mid-carders led by Paul Heyman? I mean, you don't have Braun Breaker, who is the guy that they were trying to build around after the Seth Rollins injury. And you've got Austin Theory, who I'm not sure. It just feels like he doesn't necessarily fit in this group. And he feels a little bit uncomfortable in front of the camera again. Logan Paul has a name. Logan Paul has cachet. We are both incredibly impressed with what Logan Paul does and what Logan Paul brings. But all that being said, he feels like his star has been dimmed a little bit. And then you look at Bronson Reed, And I don't know if Bronson Reed's ever really got out of the starting blocks. It feels as though his character was going to get out of the starting blocks, and then it just seems like it really hasn't taken off. And the person who you're probably most impressed with, again, is a guy who's been doing it for 30 some years in Paul Heyman. The other guys just kind of feel like they're there right now. Has the vision lost its shine, and is WWE programming doing enough to make them feel relevant?
Absolutely, man. It sucks, man, because you lose Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, you lost the vision. So it's you got to pivot, and it's actually an opportunity for the rest of the vision. Actually, it's unfortunate because it's a group now that feels like it's less than to have Paul Heyman. You know what I mean? Because Paul Heyman is really aligned with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. But the opportunity to make new stars with this group, they just got to take advantage of what's given. And yes, at this point in time, they are feeling like they are less than what was expected, and that's why we feel that way, is because the vision had the chance to be like the Evolution with Ric Flair. It's just, listen, Triple H is not stupid. He's just recreating the thing that he did the best in terms of making stars, and it's just the same thing of Evolution. It's just the same thing that he created back in the day, and now it's up to Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory to get where they need to go. And it just feels like they need to do a lot more.
Yeah, it feels like a light needs to be, maybe a different light needs to be shined on them. Maybe there has to be a way to pull a little bit more out of all of these guys. Like we said, you've got a guy like Logan Paul who is impressive as hell in the ring, and I think he does a good enough job with his character work. Austin Theory, you've got to pull a little bit more out of him. To me, he feels like the thing that doesn't fit in that group right now. And Bronson Reed, there's so much potential there. Like, the guy's huge and he's so athletic. Like, what he can do off a top rope for a guy that size is nuts. And it just doesn't feel like they're highlighted enough. Watching SmackDown this past week, I noticed something. This is probably the second time, maybe the third time, these two women have interacted at the very top of the ramp. And out loud, I said this, and I wanted to get your take, and I want to know if you feel like it's there or maybe it's not there. Does it feel like there's real heat between Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill? When Jade was going to walk up the ramp, Charlotte came out and kind of interrupted her exit. And again, Jade and Charlotte get very much in each other's face, and Charlotte has this demeanor where she's like, "You're less than me. Get out of my face. You are nothing." And Jade seems to feel that and take offense. And now, this could all just be character work, but to me, whenever I watch it, I feel like there is something real life there. And I wonder if you feel the same way. This is at least the second time that I can recall saying it out loud, like there's real heat there, and feeling like there's got to be a story that we can build between these two.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're both incredible athletes. They both have an incredible look. You got to get them in the ring, and maybe Charlotte can carry Jade in the ring, because I think we both feel like Jade is still very rough around the edges.
Exactly. It's just one of those deals where, and it's always the feud that's always going to be between the star and the worker. Like, Charlotte has all the tools. She did all the work in the ring. She can talk. She can do it all. She's a worker. So that's the Ric Flair. But then you had the Hulk Hogans of the world who were like just big and it just basically, to me, on the men's side, it would be like if you're Carmelo Hayes. You're like, man, I've been given a push. I'm doing all the work. I'm doing all the flips. I'm sacrificing my body. And Trick Williams comes here with the size, the look, the speech. The fans love him, and he's going to get pushed to the moon. It's always that, but it's in the end, it's the same company. They have the same goal, which is to make money and entertain the crowd. But if you're Charlotte Flair, you're like, man, Triple H loves this girl, but he loves her look. She's appealing to his fetish of like bodybuilding women. And she must be like, man, I just wish that she could, subconsciously probably thinks, I wish she could actually work in the ring and doesn't need 6 months off every cycle so that she can get her ring work up. So I just think that's probably, not too far off of the truth. But yeah, that if you can tap into that, oh man, there's money there. Absolutely. You're here because of a look, and I'm here because I can put asses in seats. You're just a freak show. There's always been that, like Seth Rollins versus, the CM Punks of the world, or basically now the Seth Rollins versus the Cenas. It's just totally different. The thing about Cena, what's always cool was he acknowledged, like, yeah, I'm not the best worker, but even in his recent interviews, Man, Cena has really highlighted that even in his return, he was always about, hey, if I take care of the company will pay me. And he's the definition. If you just listen to the O'Shea Jackson interview, he's just the definition of a company man. But it's just there's always going to be an underlying feud between the Bret Harts of the world and the Hulk Hogan's. But more people are realizing, man, if you can do less moves and sell more tickets, it's not a bad life.
Yeah, no, for sure. A guy who I'm concerned about when he gets to the point where he's going to retire is a guy like Javon Evans.
Yeah,
Or,
bro.
you know, you look at all the problems that Randy Orton's had with his spine and with his back. You've got Javon Evans essentially doing the same move, but he is so springy and he's jumping off of the top rope, doing that cutter. And to me, it's just like, bro, your body is not going to hold up. But the thing that gets him to where he's at, that has him in the elimination chamber, is the fact that he can do a move like that. So we'll see how that all plays out. The one thing that really tied together Raw and SmackDown this week, a large box that says "Do not open until the elimination chamber," showed up on Adam Pearce's doorstep, and Adam Pearce was like, "Get this the hell out of here! Send this over to SmackDown. Let them deal with it." Shows up on SmackDown. I want to get your thoughts on what you think is in the box. I know initially everybody thought that it was going to be Chris Jericho finally returning to WWE. Some news has come out from Fightful that it sounds like Chris Jericho's contract is frozen with AEW.
Boo.
So I think we can put the rest that the Chris Jericho appearance. To me, it's a big ass box. It seems like it's just going to be Brock Lesnar jumping out of this big ass box, which I feel like is a stupid ass way to present Brock Lesnar. But I was wondering if you have any thoughts or if you have any idea of what might be in the box, because I don't know what the hell's in the box. Initially, I was like, oh, Chris Jericho, maybe. And then Fightful dropped that report that he's still stuck with AEW, and it doesn't look like he's coming to WWE anytime soon. So I was like, Brock Lesnar, default? I don't know. What are your thoughts on what's in the big box?
Yeah, it's silly. Even if it was going to be Chris Jericho, it's silly. But I think you could maybe make it for a debut for an NXT star, maybe Joe Hendry, maybe Hobbs. Who the hell knows? But it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it pays it off. But if it's Brock Lesnar, that's so far. But I mean, you don't need to do gimmicks for Brock Lesnar. You don't need gimmicks at all. You just Brock Lesnar, and I don't think it's going to be Brock. I mean, if I want to sit there and tape when they go, Brock, what do you think about coming out in a box? And he's like, fuck you, new idea. And you know what I mean? And it'd be like, come on, bro. Like, I'm not coming out of no gimmick box. Like, you know, I would love to see those kind of things on Unreal where they go to where they actually include the wrestler in the plan and they go, so Chelsea, we think that you're going to put over, it's going to be great for your career to put over this, Michin. And she's like, I've had the title for 2 weeks. Yeah, but it's going to be great for your career. And she's like, how? That would be very interesting to see some pushback from these wrestlers to be like, these ideas are so stupid, and have one of them say, I can see why all of you guys are getting ripped online because of these stupid ass ideas you're coming up with. I'm not a fan really of the box, the 28th Chicago. You know, who the hell knows? Maybe we got to look more deeper. And I might end up being Chris Jericho. Maybe Chris Jericho found a way to say, hey, you know, Tony, let me say that my contract's frozen, and you can have it as a big ruse. Because look, Tony's gonna do whatever is best for Chris Jericho. He loves him and would do the service. But listen, we'll see what it is. I'm more intrigued by the Masked Man than the Crate, but we'll see in Chicago at the Elimination Chamber. What is this big surprise in the Crate?
Who do you have any inklings on who the Masked Man's going to be? I feel like they're setting it up for whenever Seth Rollins is good to come back. It's going to be Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I think, most likely. I think it's been Grayson Waller in the work that they've been doing, but I do think that, eventually that the ideas should be that it is Seth Rollins.
All right. Let's transition over to AEW. AEW did a fantastic show with Dynamite this week. Dynamite was stupendous. Ton of great wrestling. It was a show that had to be rewritten last minute because of illness, and I think you got a really, really awesome show, highlighted by what's going on with MJF and Hangman Page. Now, I have some concerns with what's going on with Hangman Page, specifically as Hangman Page went full Cody Rhodes, essentially saying that if he loses the title match at Revolution, he will never challenge for the AEW World Championship. We've seen this with Cody Rhodes very early on in the lifespan of AEW, and I thought it was absolutely stupid then. I think it's absolutely stupid now. I don't know why you do this type of stipulation, why you add this layer to a match that doesn't really need it. Everybody wants to see these two guys go at it. You can add another stipulation because that's what they're going to do. Hangman Page wants this to be a Texas death match. MJF is supposed to give his stipulation this upcoming week. I don't think you need to have this stipulation where if I lose the match, I will never challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again. With Cody Rhodes, when he was in AEW, you ended up booking yourself into holes, and you ended up booking yourself into circles because he could never challenge for that belt. It totally kept him at this very mid-card level, and it made things really, really weird. And if you go back, it really soured. This was something that really contributed to the souring of his relationship, one, with the fans, but two, I feel like with AEW and the management. He was always stuck in this weird little rat race where he could never get to that next level. It took a level of interest away from his character because he could never chase for the grandest prize in all of the company. He was always stuck as the TNT champion. That was the only belt he could ever go after. He could never face a guy like, we'll say an MJF in this case, and challenge for that AEW World Championship. He could never chase a Kenny Omega. He could never chase whoever was holding that belt at that time. He could only challenge and play for the mid-card title. I don't understand why you add this stipulation. I think this is stupid. I think it's a lose-lose because if Hangman Page wins, you're just like, yeah, well, it makes sense because we've seen what happened with Cody Rhodes, and that was absolutely stupid. So if you end up losing, that's dumb. And then if he loses, yeah, that was dumb because we've seen what happened with Cody Rhodes, and that sucked, and that was stupid, and now you're in a bad spot for the rest of your career in AEW. I feel like this is just unnecessary, and I feel like this was absolutely silly to add this stipulation to a match that you want to pay money to see. It doesn't make any sense to me. What were your thoughts when Hangman Page rolled out the whole Cody Rhodes treatment and was like, yeah, I'll never challenge for the AEW World Championship if I lose to you at Revolution?
Yeah, it's stupid because MJF could carry the belt for a year or two. Like, he's over. The reason why we're talking about AEW in such glowing terms, he's done good PR, he's done good work, he's believable, he's a 5-tool star. Hangman Page
looks fantastic.
Hangman Page is the number 2. So eventually you want him to have the title. I mean, and so it's stupid. Listen, oh well, Hangman Page, sorry, Tony, you got to write it so that MJF at least gets it to Wembley, at least gets it to your biggest show of the year. I mean, you need Hangman Page to be, there's always something in the chase, but I don't like the stipulation. I just think it's stupid because you've already done it before, like you said. So you're absolutely right. Best way to put it, lose-lose.
Yeah, it doesn't give you an option here. Like you don't have, there's no way for you to win with this. It's just, to me, it's absolutely silly. What stipulation for a match would you like to see in this? Like I said, Hangman Page wants Texas Death. MJF does not seem to want Texas Death. I don't think a cage match would work towards, if I'm putting myself in the mindset of a guy like MJF, a cage match does not necessarily work for his type of character because he doesn't have a way to get out. He'd be locked in there with a guy like Hangman Page. Maybe a tables, ladders, and chairs match. Maybe I don't think a lumberjack match necessarily works for a guy like an MJF. Is there a stipulation that you see that would work for a guy like MJF? Maybe a first blood match. The first guy to get busted open wins or loses the match. Would you like to see something maybe like that? Is there a type of match, I guess, that would suit MJF and that you would like to see?
It's funny because I'm a big fan of Coming to America, and it's like we have McDowell's and they have McDonald's, and it's not the same, So WWE has Hell in the Cell. We have in AEW, it's real in the steel. And here's what you do: you do a massive chained like elimination chamber type thing, and not only do you do an elimination chamber where you have pods but nobody's in it, you have a tables, ladders, and chairs match in the elimination chamber. You have an opportunity to have one of the most violent matches with one of the most concocted things you've ever seen. All of the scary type matches, all inside. It's real in the steel. And something wild, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of funny to talk about what kind of match, Texas Death Match is overplayed. It has to be something where you have this unique thing that is created over the ropes. I don't know how you create it. I don't know if it's a black ring or a black cage or whatever it is you got to do to make it unique. Maybe a flaming cage, whatever it may be. Explode, have everything. The tacks, the exploding rope. What's the match where the ring explodes and blows up? Like they got made famous in Japan. Have all of it.
Oh,
yes, the Exploder Death Match. You know what I mean? Where you got 35 minutes, and if they don't win, the ring explodes. All of it, tables, ladders, and chairs inside this concocted ring, and just have a big wild, extreme fest that you could have. That's probably at this point the next step is to take it to another level and just combine everything: tables, ladders, chairs.
Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, tables, ladders, and chairs inside, and then barbed wire ropes. And the ring explodes after 35 minutes, and you just got to have a draw, and you just have no winner, and you just do it again in a traditional match. So something crazy. That's as crazy as my mind can get with with wrestling. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing that they haven't done yet is just combine everything together in one big smorgasbord of extreme.
You know what? I think it'd be absolutely nuts, and I like it. It'd be interesting to see. I like the idea of Real in the Steel elimination chamber. You have pods, you have weapons in all of the chambers. They open. You get to use them. You get to use them as you go. I think that would be fantastic. Real quick before we get to some news and notes, what was your show of the week?
The show of the week. Listen, I want to say this. Raw was interesting in that, you really are seeing Finn Balor do his thing to evolve, and it's good to see, JD McDonough back, so that was cool. I'm fascinated with now what's going to happen with Dom moving forward, the Judgment Day. I'm fascinated. I'm just hoping CM Punk doesn't get hurt fighting Finn Balor because it feels like they always want to test each other and do their thing. So I'm curious, but to me, I thought SmackDown was really interesting because Sami Zayn is getting a little bit of that, getting talking to by Cody, and everyone's telling him that he sucks and that there's a reason why you're not ever been a world champion. So I like it because they've been giving you that nugget of, hey man, you've never been a winner. And now everyone's telling him why. And it's really interesting. Trick Williams, because I think the reason, before you get to news, the reason why there's a little bit of down of WWE is you have these stars, and sometimes you just got to just do it. You got to have Trick Williams, Obafemi. You got to have the next wave. Just they're there. Like, what are you waiting for? These guys should be in main event type stuff, and nobody wants to see Obafemi. And I was talking to Kenny about this. Nobody wants to see Obafemi on main event. Nobody wants to see Trick Williams taking losses. Like, we already forgot. Matt Cardona's gone. Joe Hendry. Like, you have a new, fresh roster. And you got Joe Hendry as the NXT champion. You got Trick Williams taking L's, and it's not good. I would not have put Aleister Black and Randy Orton in the main event. It was good to see Aleister get a win, but at the same token, I'm like, man, what WWE has, it's starting to resemble what AEW used to do. Is that you have all these talent, but nobody's a star. No, everybody's mid. Everybody's mid, but the guys that you have being your top guys, which is CM Punk and Roman, and now Cody. But his story is like, you got to find a way, in my opinion, to get the new stars even higher. Because, listen, Trick Williams is probably the youngest, fastest, most over wrestler I've ever seen, and he can put it all together in the ring. So give him something good and juicy. And Obafemi doesn't need to be squashing guys like Kit Wilson, because Kit Wilson needs to be winning matches and getting his shit over. Like, you can have some good feuds with Kit Wilson. And I think that all you got to do is just have people laugh at him. Like, he can go up to Randy Orton and Obafemi and say, you guys are toxic. And they just laugh at him and have him do stuff behind the scenes. Like, you don't got to go have Obafemi squash Kit Wilson and end the whole toxic masculinity. It's a funny bit that can be used. So things aren't getting flushed out. And I think that now's a chance for the real competition to begin if AEW can capitalize on these stories. Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. My show of the week was SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree with you. SmackDown was fantastic, and I think you're right. Guys like Obafemi don't need to be squashing guys who are funny, comedic mid-card acts. Like, they need to be main events, and I don't need to necessarily see Randy Orton and Aleister Black in my Friday night SmackDown main event. There's other things you can do. Programming-wise, creative-wise, they've got to figure a couple of things out. Real quick, so some news and notes. Lots of injuries. We're doing a ton. We're doing an injury update reset here. So we talked a little bit about Braun Breaker earlier. Sounds like his hernia that he ended up occurring and having took place during the segment that opened WWE Raw a couple of weeks ago when he was flipping over the announce table and destroying the set. So it sounds like it took place there. Chelsea Green, we've seen her on Friday Night SmackDown. She's dealing with a broken ankle. This happened a couple of weeks ago on Friday Night SmackDown. In her match, it was a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. She ended up breaking her ankle. This now leads us to the curious case of Roxanne Perez. If you've noticed, Roxanne Perez has not been seen with the Judgment Day lately. They've been involved in a lot of segments on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, but there's been no Roxanne Perez. Usually she's alongside Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez, helping cause the chaos. Word is prior to the Royal Rumble, the company praised Roxanne Perez for working the European tour and doing it while she was banged up. It seems like she's now taking a little bit of time off to recover. Taking to her Instagram story, Roxanne Perez shared a photo of a gift she was sent by her Judgment Day stablemates with a message that said, "Get well soon," featured confirming that she is currently off the road. Earlier this week, Perez took to her TikTok and stated that she had a benign mass removed from her back and it was causing her a lot of pain for a couple of months. So, well wishes and continued recovery for Roxanne Perez, who is recovering from getting that mass removed from her back. Now, the EST still sidelined for a little bit longer. One of the most highly rated matches of last year's WrestleMania 41 was the Women's World Championship three-way between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. In the match, Belair suffered an injury that has kept her out of action since then. Initially, it was said to be a broken finger. However, Belair has since stated that the issue was actually a broken knuckle, which complicated the recovery process. Belair took to her social media to announce that she is undergoing another finger surgery. This time took place on Monday, February 16th, in hopes of repairing the finger so she can get back in the ring. You're looking at least another 8 weeks for Belair to be out of wrestling action. And then another WWE star who appears to be a little bit limited recently is being forced to step away. During a commercial break on Monday Night Raw in Memphis, Tennessee, Kofi Kingston and Grayson Waller came out on stage. Noticeably absent was Kingston's New Day partner, Xavier Woods. Kingston explained that Woods had been dealing with a shoulder injury for the past 3 months and has been forced by medical to take some time away. Woods last wrestled on January 31st when he teamed with Kingston and Waller in a 6-man tag match against Shinsuke Nakamura and the Motor City Machine Guns in Saudi Arabia ahead of the Royal Rumble Premium Live event. Woods was absent towards the end of 2025 as well, which was due to surgery to get a growth removed from his head. Waller read the crowd a supposed text message from Woods saying that he would have loved to have been in Memphis tonight, but how can he recover from an injury in a place where the people can't even recover from being ugly? So there's currently no other details on his injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but he is also dealing with being banged up. So lots of injuries on the WWE front. That's not good news when we're headed to WrestleMania and we're, about a month and a half away or so from WrestleMania. So hopefully these guys recover and get back soon. But that's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes.
And to the fans, thank you. Yes, this is what you need to do. Ticket prices will come down when the demand is not there. That's the secret. You know, they've hit the market. They've peaked. And you can't have it in the same spot. The people that are going to want to come to WrestleMania are your hardcore fans. They've already had the experience. All the news out of Vegas is nobody wants to buy a $13 water and a $13 Snickers. Dude, come on. Vegas is played out. Like, everybody can just go to their local watering hole, can get drunk for $20 and have a good time with their friends. Nobody wants to pay for... Could you imagine me and you pulling up to a bar in Las Vegas and being like, you know, me and my cousin, man, we do a wrestling podcast. We need 2 old fashions. Yeah, that'll be $69, please. Be like, what? With tip. And we're like, no. And that's for, Maker's Mark. Be like, what does it cost if I have some Basil Hayden? That'll be $140, please. I'll be like, oh my God. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So I just think that fans, thank you for lowering the demand. And actually, they did give a 25% discount. But no, it's stupid. Nobody would, in their right mind, buy a ticket to not know what's on the card. You got to tell us the matches and then build the card. That's the simplest way to do it. Tell us the 8-9 matches you got and start building it. I do think tickets will eventually get there, but you got to have a lot bigger. And it's a slow build. Listen, they've peaked. They've made a lot of money. So I think that now the cycle will eventually return to somewhat normal, to be around. Listen, the WWE ticket should be on average like $150 to $175. That's a great value across the board. You'll make a lot of money, and you can figure out how many t-shirt sales, how does Nick Khan want every single dollar known to man? So I hope that that they realize, okay, we can kind of scale back and still be a profitable company. Because now when you start doing that,
what AEW does. AEW will sit there, they'll roll out a card of 6 top end matches.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's 6 more matches that have been added.
Yeah. So
the 12 match card.
And
but you've got 6 that are your core and your base that are selling those tickets.
Exactly. You got to have good creative. And in the world of podcasting, quick, Hobbs sat down with Stephanie McMahon. Rey Mysterio, great interview with Cody Rhodes. And you realize that John Cena is really just a smart figure that said, hey, I know that December is always a slow time. That's the perfect time for me to help you guys make a profitable quarter. And that was his mindset. It was really fascinating to pay attention to. Make sure you follow Adam on X at AdamRSCROZ. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. Thanks for checking in with the world of wrestling. We always enjoy just checking in with what's going on in the freak circus show that is professional wrestling. And now we're on the road to WrestleMania, and AEW is making a push, maybe to make it more of a competition. So we shall see if their creative gets to that level. But perfect choice for AEW to have MJF as their world champion. I can't wait to fire it up next week. I think we got the Elimination Chamber preview next week on the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast, which is featured on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.